Okay, everybody. Well, welcome to the 8th week of our 90-day fast track. Guys, it's been an incredible week. I did post something in our fast track group today where I mentioned that we've gotten down to that core group of people. It's actually slightly above average for what we were expecting. Where I said in the very beginning of this fast track that there will be a group of people that make the commitment. There's going to be a group of people that don't make it past 2 weeks. And then there'll be a group of people that can stick with it for the fourth to sixth week. And then usually by this point, the people that have made it this far are the ones that are going to stay put and the ones that are going to enjoy all the results. And it's interesting that even this week, again, we're slightly above average. We're at we're at that core group. We've had great results. It's the people that stick with it. It's the people that are doing the little things every single day. And so congratulations for being here, for continuing to plug in, and for continuing to stay put. No matter how well or imperfectly or how convenient or inconvenient this is, this is very much all about you and what you want out of it. So you're doing those small steps, and you're going to get what you need. So let's talk about what we're going to see tonight. Just 1 second. Okay. All right, quick update. Sorry about that. Webinars are recorded. The recordings and/or presentations are being uploaded to mawc411.com. This is a playlist, so while it may appear like there's only the most recent one that's showing up, if you click a little button on the top left-hand corner of every video, the playlist of all the recent successful recordings will also populate. The webinars there are emails that are emailed to you on a weekly basis so that you can remember to log in. Again, when you're reporting, please remember to use only numbers. And if you have any questions throughout the webinar today, feel free to send us a question in the chat box. Okay, so let's talk about what's up for tonight. We are going to go through some results, and then I want to take you through what I'm calling the 3 levels of prospecting. And yes, by week 8, because at this point we've all done some prospecting, and we have prospects that are in 3 different categories, right? They're either cold prospects, they're people that you haven't reached out to that you're going to be reaching out to. They're warm prospects, maybe they started conversations, they've seen a little bit, and that's where they're stuck. And then there are hot prospects. They're prospects that are ready to make a decision, that want to make a decision, and now it's just up to you to go ahead and get them to commit, right? So how do you handle that? How do you get them to go from being cold to being warm, from being warm to being hot, so that you actually see results, and have that working very nicely and synergistically so that you're constantly growing and you're constantly seeing results and you're constantly replenishing your warm market, your warm funnel, because this is really, really fun to do when you have lots of people in the warm funnel all the time. We're going to hear from Fast Track Coach of the Week, Jocelyn Holleran. I'm really excited for you guys to hear from her. I believe she's going to be talking about referral networking. And then finally, I'm going to propose some specific questions for you so you can assess where you are as you enter into this 8th week. And based on how you answer the questions that I ask you, there's going to be 1 of 2 action plans that I recommend that you take, for this upcoming week and going forward. All right, so let's just take a quick look at the results. Again, we're bouncing back up there. This is in week 7. We had 10 sales, website sales, that sold at $11,500 and generated $7,700 in website retail profit. In addition, over 11 grand in other MA products, 8 personally sponsored, 9 additional partners. I mean, these are really great results. I want to show you something that I found that was very interesting. Is in previous fast tracks, the website sale price and the other Market America products that were sold were these numbers were not so closely related. You can see here that we're talking about just over $100,000 in website sales and $100,000 in Market America products. Generally, this would be more like around the $200,000 range. Excuse me, this would be less, and this would be about twice. So we are right on track with the kinds of results that we want to be seeing. But it's just interesting to see that the website sales are keeping up with the high level of other Market America products that are being sold. That's really, really a great thing. It's a great, I mean, I'm excited to see that. And, so if you have, if like I said, if when you hear tonight and you hear about how to move your prospects along from cold to warm to hot, and if you feel like you're doing a lot of prospecting and you're waiting for your sales to pop through, I think tonight's going to give you a lot of tips on how to make that happen. Okay, so let's review. What are the three levels of your prospecting? So it's week 8, right? And so at this point, if you've been talking to people every day, even if you've only been doing it consistently for the last 3 or 4 weeks, you should have people in 3 different funnels. You should have people that are cold. These are people that you've added to your names list that you're planning on reaching out to. You should have people in your warm funnel. These are people that have received a little bit of information. Maybe they've seen the plan. Maybe they've committed to an appointment. Maybe they've had a website appointment, right? But they haven't made a decision yet. But they're warm leads, right? They're people that show interest. And then there are hot leads. There are people that have, you know, they've gotten the information. They have completed a website appointment. Maybe they've been followed up with once or twice. If they've seen the plan, maybe they have, done a follow up with you, or maybe they've asked someone else to take a look at it as well. They've led you to some people. Those are your hot. Those are people that belong in your hot funnel, right? The goal of the fast track is to constantly have people that fall into these 3 categories, and I want to be very clear about that because I think a lot of people have a misconception that the goal is to have nothing but hot leads or warm funnels. And that's just not true, because if you only have warm funnels and you're not building in this cold funnel, right, then what happens to your warm funnel? It depletes, right? You no longer have anybody to work with. So the goal is to constantly have people that you're going to be reaching out to, people that are in the evaluation process, and people that are further along in the evaluation process and that are ready to go ahead and make some sort of a decision. So, um, you know, once you have people in your warm and hot list, which a lot of us do at this point, and entering into the 8th week, we want to make sure that we don't run the risk of forgetting to prospect for new business, right? I think that especially when you're dealing with brand new distributors or brand new web center owners, this is a high risk, right? Everybody they get their hot lead, they get their appointment set for the website, and they stop looking for new website prospects because they throw all their eggs in one basket and they're so focused on that one website appointment that they just know is going to go well, right? And that's okay. That's a normal thing to do. But what we need to do is we actually need to be very hyper aware of the fact that once we stop prospecting, eventually we will run out of people in that warm list, and we'll waste a lot of time and eventually have to start over. That is the hardest thing to do to yourself, is to start over and over and again, right? It's way easier to keep momentum going than it is for you to build it up from ground zero constantly every 3 to 4 weeks. So we want to make sure that we're not ignoring the need to keep the cold markets, or the new prospects, I should say, your cold funnel going. That is just as important, in my opinion, as your warm funnel. All right, so let me give you some tips for working with those first time contacts, or to keep this funnel full, right? We want to keep that cold market full so that we can constantly be transitioning them from cold to warm, right? So what I recommend that we always do, this is like that, we talked last week about one a day for website sales and how powerful that could be. Well, in terms of your business, whether we're talking about website sales or just your own franchise in general, one simple thing that you can do to constantly be opening the door to possible prospects or candidates is to simply private message or even just comment on the status of at least 2 people per day on Facebook, right? Everybody has Facebook. Everybody is mindlessly scrolling through Facebook at one time, during their day. I can't tell you how many times I see parents at sporting practices or whatever, or like you're waiting in line for something and people just can't be where they are. They're always on Facebook. So, what we recommend is that rather than just using that time on Facebook to pass time and kill time, why not use it to be, opening doors, or to be a possible partnership, or make it more profitable, right? That's a better use of your time. So, and you can do that like just throughout your day. It doesn't require a huge commitment to scroll through your news feed on Facebook and make a comment on a status, right? That's something you can knock out in a minute, and you can do it very, very passively. It doesn't require a lot of effort. So, who should you be messaging? Well, you all have a very a very large names list. Most people have a names list of on their Facebook, or a friends list of at least 2 to 300 people. However, they mostly only interact with 10 to 20 of those people on a daily or weekly or even monthly basis, right? So what about the other 290 people? Those are people that are prospects that are just kind of there, that are just, it's money on the table, right? It's possibilities that are just going to go undeveloped, and it's because we're not reaching out to them. So what you want to do is you want to look through your actual friends list for people that you don't talk to. You can just click on their profile. If you see something interesting on their wall, comment, right? The goal here is not to um you know prospect heavily. Like, you're not recruit excuse me, let me rephrase that. The goal here is not to recruit heavily. You don't want to just go through your names list and ask people to see the plan. The goal here is to develop some strong relationships. So, you know just keep that in mind. So you should be looking for people that you don't really talk to often, and looking for an opportunity to reconnect. You can, use an old yearbook. Ryan does this all the time, actually. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold. I've been outside a lot this whole weekend. Um, but Ryan does this a lot, actually, where like he'll whip out a yearbook, or a program from some program that he was a part of, and he'll look for the people in the yearbook on Facebook, right? Because up until 10 years ago, the yearbooks were great, but you only got to see the people at the 10-year reunion. Well, now it's just a really great memory jogger, so that you can remember some of these people that you should be, reconnecting with. You can use time periods to jog your memory. So think about different jobs you had, schools you went to, communities that you lived in, neighborhoods that you lived in, classes that you took, organizations you belonged to, things that your kids did or participated in, your friends, all of those things. Use those time periods as ways to jog your memory for people that you should be considering to reach out to with this Facebook prospecting technique that you should be doing. Um, the key, again, is to just find people on the book, and by the book we mean Facebook. The key is to expand your people that would technically fall into that cold funnel. People that you haven't talked to in a while, people that you're planning on reconnecting with, people that you're planning on warming them up. So remember, the goal here is to communicate with new people, with new blood, right? So you want to be warming people up, because a lot of times people have all of the people, they have this extensive names list of all these people that they want to reach out to, but they don't. And the reason that they don't is because it's socially ridiculous to reach out to certain people that you haven't talked to in 10 years and ask them to evaluate something for you, or ask them to partner with you in business. Think about how socially odd that is, right? Think about that. If you wanted to partner with someone in business, you would want to qualify that person, right? And if you haven't talked to that person in 10 years, and you're calling them up to get them to see the plan, that doesn't translate well for several reasons. Number one, it's just a little bit rude, right? It's a little bit rude to ask somebody for that. And number two, it doesn't really speak highly of you, because why would you want to partner with someone you don't know anything about anymore, right? People change. So, this is why this Facebook prospecting technique is so powerful, because it's a nice, an easy way that everybody can do, where they can just simply reconnect with people and gain permission to now, talk about things like business or talk about things like referrals or get them to evaluate the plan and lead you to people, right? So, what you want to be doing is checking out their wall so that you can be personable, so you can relate to them, you can get to know what they're up to. You might identify whether or not they're even a good candidate for the web center program or for a website product or for motives or for the unfranchised or whatever. But the key here is to, again, be personable, to relate, and to end in an open ended question so that they have an opportunity to talk, right? So, for example, if I, click on a friend that I haven't talked to in a while, I would maybe, if they had recently shared a picture of their family, I'd say something, wow, it's been such a long time. Your kids are gorgeous. What have you guys been up to lately? How have you been? Right? You notice how what I'm saying on that wall is not like, hey, I was just thinking about you. This may or may not be for you, blah, 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 blah. That's a very direct approach. And while with some people, and depending on the relationship you have with them, that could be very effective. What we're talking about here is something is a little bit different. All right. So what about the people that fall into your warm funnel, right? If you've been doing this every day, the one a day, if you've been reaching out to your, contacting three a day, setting your appointments, all that stuff, you should have people in your warm market at this point, in the warm funnel, people that have gotten some information and that are in that evaluation process, right? So the key here is to be extremely organized so that you can turn them from a warm person into a hot person, right? Organization is key. So you have to have lists, right? With details so that you can be very, very effective with your follow up. And again, personable. We're in a relationship built business. This is about networking. This is about identifying a need, and making a recommendation and helping people. So it really makes a difference if you can do very basic things like remember people's names, remember what was important to them, not what was important to you or what you wanted out of it, but what they wanted out of it. So, for example, when I'm following up with website prospects that have, done an appointment, but the timing wasn't right, I always write down the name of the business owner. If they told me anything about like their family, like, oh, my wife does this or my children are doing that, I write those little things down because now when I call up my website prospect, I could say, hey, Joe, it's Sarah Rose. How are you? Great. How are the kids? I know that they were doing really well in lacrosse. Is the season still going on? Awesome. Great. Listen, I was just thinking about you, or I was following up. I know that you had a couple of questions about, whatever the quote unquote hot button was there. I would drop it. And here's what that does. It demonstrates to my website prospect that I have, I remembered him. I have an interest in him. I remembered his family, and I also remembered, what kinds of questions or things were holding him up. It's just good business, you guys. It's just good networking. People like to feel important, and when you remember these little tiny things, even if you have to write them down and remind yourself, when you remember these tiny things, it goes a long way. Keep in mind when you're following up with your warm market, persistence is important. Always set an expectation that you will be following up within a certain amount of time, and then actually go ahead and do it. So whenever you finish an appointment, you know, the most important thing that you can do for yourself is to schedule out when you will be following up. So I'll just say to that person, okay, great. I'm going to give you a couple of days. Is it okay if we give you a call back on Wednesday, sometime between, I don't know, 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock p.m.? Great. I will talk to you then, right? You have to set the expectation that follow up is inevitable. Persistence is key, but don't be pushy. So if they say that they have a very, very busy Monday and Tuesday, don't be that person that calls them on a Monday and Tuesday when they were very clear about the fact that those were not convenient times to follow up, right? You want to be persistent, but you want to be persistent in a way that is professional and respectful. So also keep in mind that sales statistically happen after the seventh or eighth contact. So, that is a general sales statistic. It is not specific to web centers, but just understand that. Own that statistic, because, if you knew this, why would you ever stop following up with a prospect after a first or second contact, right? True both for website sales and true for the business. Understanding that one statistic was a totally pivotal part of my own business, because I realized at that point I was giving up way too soon, and I was statistically putting myself on a track for failure when I wasn't following up past the second or third contact. So, how do you move people from warm to hot? Let's start with business building, right? Number one is friend your prospects on Facebook, right? So that they can stalk you. That's a really good thing, you guys. I'm telling you, when you show somebody the plan, when we show someone the plan, we always friend the prospects on Facebook, because you know why? We want that prospect to go home and look at our profile and evaluate us and stay in contact with us, right? And then make sure that you're actually posting stuff that would be worth stalking. So make sure that the kind of stuff that you're putting on your personal profile are things of interest, that are professional, that are lifestyle oriented, that are positive, minded kinds of stuff. It gets to their people fast, right? If you're showing the plan to somebody, and you're spending 4 weeks evaluating this with them, what do you think is going to be more effective? You answering a ton of questions for 4 weeks and just having conversations about things about how this could work and why this could work? Or do you think it might be more effective to simply show the plan to their people, get their people interested, and demonstrate that it does work, right? That is how you get someone to go, I'm interested in this, to I want to do this now. I can't believe that I already have my people. Listen to your prospects. What do they want? What is their holdup? What are their fears about starting the business? You can't help somebody get past their holdups if you don't ask what would keep them from getting started. If that makes sense or not. So often we try to put everybody into one box with business building. We expect them to just do it. We expect them to just do it because this is a great opportunity, and we're talking to them about things that are not important to them, right? Not everybody has a family. Not everybody has a desire to make $500,000 a year. Not everybody wants to fire their boss, right? And so it's important to listen to our prospects so we can speak in a language that's meaningful. With regard to our website prospects, keep records of names, hot buttons, follow ups, dates, etc. Have a plan. Are you going to be following up with your website prospects, or will your product specialist do that? Understand why there is a need for a follow up at all, right? And again, help to alleviate a specific fear. So if the holdup is money, then maybe knocking off $100 or $200 off your sales price wouldn't be the difference between someone that was ready to make a decision now and someone that wasn't. What about comparing options? Are they held up because they're not sure how we compare against the competition? Timing. Do they need more information? Do they want to see sample designs? You need to identify why they are, what is the reason for the holdup, so that you can alleviate that specific fear, and again, get them to move from someone that's in the warm prospect um, funnel of someone that's evaluating whether or not they want to go with you, to someone that's ready to pop now. Now, with the hot leads, don't slow people down, right? As you're following up, see if they're ready to go, and then launch them, right? The websites, products, business partners, you have to actually engage the teams to leverage your time. But just not understand this. A lot of times people get um, in their own way of launching people that are hot and ready to pop, right? Ask the hard questions. Are you ready to get started? Let's launch your business. Are you ready to get started? Let's get your website activated. Ask the hard questions, and this is what it's all about, guys. Engaging your cold funnel so that you can warm them up, put them in a warm funnel, help them to evaluate, identify what's keeping them from making a decision, alleviate that fear, put them in the hot leads funnel, and help them to launch whatever it is that was interesting for them. So, without further ado, I would like to welcome uh, Jocelyn Holleran. Jocelyn is an incredible leader in the Southeast region. Has become such a poised speaker and coach in the area, and we're really, really lucky to have her here. I believe she's a master coordinator, although she may have actually just hit senior master. I'll let her tell you if she has, or if she hasn't yet, when she's going to plan on doing that. So, Jocelyn, go ahead and share with everybody what you'd like to share for the week.
Okay, can you hear me, Sarah?
I can hear you great.
Okay, great. Well, hello everybody, and I'm thankful to be on here. Thank you very much, Sarah Rose, for the opportunity. And like she said, I'm Jocelyn Holler, and I actually live in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I am a master coordinator. However, my goal for senior master is to be by the end of 2013. Just a little side note for everybody. Whatever your goal is, make it your vision. Just keep it in front of you all the time. I will tell you that Senior Master Coordinator is my password. Every single letter of it, I don't abbreviate, for everything I log into. Now, you can all hack into my life, but you will know that truly all of my Market America things, a lot of different things, I use my passwords. I change them all the time as my goals change, so that's constantly in front of me. Now, for those of you that are like, Lord, that's crazy. No, it's not actually. Senior Master Coordinator is probably the most ridiculous thing on the planet to have to type. And so you'll want to move past that pin level pretty darn quick, because you're going to get tired of typing that. And I will say it keeps your goal right there in front of you. So I have my goals. I have them listed everywhere in my house, on my mirror. I look at them every day. I encourage you to do the same thing, and don't get discouraged if you don't meet your goal. Of 2013, if the end comes and I'm not a senior master coordinator, that's okay. I'll just take a look at my goal. I'll measure, monitor, and adjust. So that's just a little bit right there. But I'm a mom. I have 2 young children. I have a 9-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I do our business full time. It is my career. I was able to retire from my position as a practice manager of an animal hospital about a year ago. So I really want to talk to you guys about your warm market and working through referrals. I know, and I just want to touch on, I know everybody's touched on a little bit, but it has really been one of the biggest things that has worked for me, is to ask people for referrals. Corporations do it every day. Your dentist, your doctor's office, all of them do it. So it's perfectly logical for you to ask for referrals as well, especially through the people that you know. You should not be afraid of doing this. One of the things that I struggle with in my own team is most of them, they doubt themselves. They still doubt what they have. Their belief is there, but they're still working on it every day. Believe in you, believe in the company, believe in the Web Centers product. It's amazing. Ask for referrals. Tell people what you do. Ask them if they know anybody that's looking for a solution. Do they know a small business owner? It's not a problem to do that, and you should. And you should make sure that you write those referrals down. I very rarely give out business cards anymore. I have business cards that you can write on the back of, and I will ask people for a referral, and if they say, oh, I don't have their information on me, I don't have a business card there, say that's okay. Just go ahead and give me their name and their name of their business. I'm happy to look them up, and if it's okay with you, I'll just let them know that you referred me. And I do pay a referral fee. That is something that I do. I send a gift to whoever it is that's referred me as a thank you if that sale has gone through. I always send a thank you card for referrals, hands down. But if I am able to make a website sale, then I do give them a gift or a finder's fee. Now, I have partnered with several different businesses in my area that deal with other business owners all the time, and you should think about doing that. My insurance agent is an independent insurance agent. He sells automobile and commercial insurance. That's been a very large portion of a warm market for me. He and we struck up a good friendship in the beginning. He really didn't need any services from me, but he's very nice. We were able to talk candidly about what both of us do. Business referrals all of the time. He writes commercial policies for small businesses, close to 5 or 6 a week. He asks them if they have a website. It is one of his questions. If they do, great. If they don't, great. Either way, he lets them know that he has someone who does websites in the area that's able to save money for small to medium-sized businesses. Is it okay if he passes on their information? That's all he does for me. It's a huge asset to my business. So you need to really think about, who do you know in your area that works with other small business owners, and strike up a referral relationship with them. And again, as I say to you, there's nothing wrong with doing that. That's the way the majority of our lives work, is through a referral market. So go through your names list again. Maybe you have talked to them about what you do. That's fine. But have you talked to them about creating a mutual referral program? Have you done that? And if you haven't, you should think about it. I've been doing this for 2 years. I exhausted my original names list. I'm sure those of you that have been doing this may have, but that's okay, which is how I decided to go and start working through a referral base. This business is not always going to be for everybody, and that's okay. But there's always going to be a way for everybody to mutually benefit each other. As long as you're looking towards helping somebody else, there's no way that you can't be successful here. And then I do want to touch on one other thing. It does not matter how you find your leads. It doesn't matter if you call them. It doesn't matter if it's a great conversation if you never follow up. The fortune is in the follow-up. You can have an amazing conversation, have everything go great, create a referral program, do everything that we talk about here on these webinars every week. But if you don't take the time to follow up with people and have your own follow-up system in place, nothing will ever be successful for you because you'll constantly drop the ball. So make sure that you have something like that going. And I encourage you to continue to be on these Web Center Fast Track webinars. There's such good information here for you to implement. Take little bits of it every week and try and implement it in your business. Sarah talked about Facebook. It's a great place for warm referrals. Make it a goal of yours to touch base with 10 people a week. It's really not that hard. Maybe even just 5 if you need to start small. But that's, again, how you start that warm referral marketing network. And if you have any questions, all of us Fast Tracker coaches, we're always available to you through Facebook. So please just toss those questions out there and we're more than happy to answer them for you. And again, Sarah, I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak. And I hope everybody has a great week.
Jocelyn, that was incredible. Thank you so much. So many gems that Jocelyn just dropped in your pocket. You know, I hear it all the time, especially on Fast Tracks, because with Fast Tracks we're dealing with high numbers and high volume. And yes, your initial warm market runs out. And there's all kinds of really great things that you could do to expand your names list. But this concept of referral marketing and setting up, ways that you can be mutually beneficial with other people that are well connected is just so great. It's just such an effective and efficient way for you to meet other business owners with a need in a warm way, right? It's so much more valuable than just going out and promoting yourself. And, it's so much more valuable to get referred anyway than it is to be self-promoting. So, I mean, I just think, Jocelyn, that in more ways than one, that is a very, very powerful way to be building this business. So thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to reading that blog that you put together on this. And it's really funny because initially I was going to put stuff on here about how to run referral campaigns, and I'm glad I didn't do that yet because I think that you saying it the way that you just did, very, very simply, is exactly the kind of information that we need. Because the simpler that we look at this, just setting up a relationship with someone and asking that question if they would be interested in giving each other referrals and helping each other to be mutually beneficial, it really is that simple, and we need to keep it that simple. So very, very great. I look forward to seeing you as senior master in Miami. All right. Quick look at what's coming up. Web Center trainings are coming up all over the place. We are looking into doing Web Center trainings. This is something new via GoToMeeting. And so we're going to beta test that first and just see if that would be available. But this is going to be one way that we can have multiple trainers to do trainings in areas that don't have trainers. So more on that when it becomes available. But in the interim, please, if you have the opportunity to get into a room for a upcoming Web Center training, please make every effort to do this. The people that are attending these trainings are finding that not only is it just great information, but like I said, they're leaving with booked appointments. It's just amazing, the practical experience that you get and the actual experience that you get. It's just unprecedented. All right, so before you go, I want to briefly go over a quick assessment. I'm going to put this entire presentation up on Facebook tonight as a PDF so that you can download this and ask yourself these questions again on your own, when you have more time to go through it. But the first thing everybody needs to do this week is they need to identify, where are they about halfway through this fast track. Do you fall under category 1 or do you fall under category 2? So category 1 people would be people that have been building consistently from the beginning. There are people that are seeing results, that are making quality contacts, they're following up, they're adding people to the names list, they're plugging in consistently every single week, and are putting in effort consistently to work toward their goals. These are people that are, obviously nobody's perfect, but fairly consistent and happy with the progress that's been being made in there on this current fast track. Category 2 are people that may have had a slower start than what they had wanted. Really great intentions, they wanted to make this happen, but maybe trouble with scheduling or whatever, got in the way, and they just haven't really gotten over that hurdle yet. Um, excuse me. Most of the contacts that they have made are first time contacts. They're cultivating relationship contacts, but you don't have a lot of people in that warm or hot funnel list yet. And maybe oh my goodness, maybe you're having trouble moving people from that, cold initial conversation through the evaluation process and ready to make a choice. Okay, so if you're in category 1, if you have, you're pretty happy with the progress, then what you want to do is to continue to plug in to Facebook, continue to do what you're doing, right? It's really important to pat ourselves on the back when we identify something that we're doing well so that we can continue to build on those really good habits, right? Just don't forget to keep expanding your names list. Jocelyn gave you a really, really great way to do that. Get creative. Ask for referrals. Create lists of every single website appointment that did not end in a sale and then follow up with that website client. Figure out what was the hurdle, what was the holdup, how can you alleviate that fear and get them to go ahead and launch, right? Create a list of every single plan that was shown. Follow up with any unclosed activity and step on the gas and kick yourself up a notch like me. All right. When you're running a long distance run, you have to pace yourself consistently, and then at the very last lap you want to sprint, right? That is the mentality of this fast track. So keep the cycle moving in sync, constantly be prospecting, constantly keep your warm market growing and your hot market growing so that eventually everything is just very nice and synergistic. If you're in category 2, I want you to plug into Facebook and Monday webinars as well, right? It's not only important for your own success, but it's important for everybody's success that we all continue to do this together, right? It's if we all show up for each other and we're helping each other out, like we're a team, right? We're all working together. When people ask questions on Facebook, you'll notice that other people in other groups, they're not in your organization, are there to help you. These fast track coaches are not being paid to be coaches, right? So, but they're there. So we need to plug in. We need to be there for each other as much as we need to be there for ourselves. If you want results, don't skip the calls, right? You have to do the daily activities. You have to do the weekly activities. You have to just do things a little bit every single day. It's just like brushing your teeth. It's just like exercise. It's once a day, or do you do it once a month for 4 hours, right? That's not an effective way to have a healthy body. Call workshops, do things. When you're submitting zeros, are you making excuses for the fact that you're submitting zeros when at the end of the week, or is it just irritating you enough to actually be productive, right? That's a very, very pivotal, important question to ask yourself. Again, nobody's perfect and that's okay. But if you're submitting zeros, I want you to ask yourself, is your initial reaction to those zeros for you to validate it with an excuse, or to go, man, I need to make a change next week, right? Ask yourself that question and decide if that's the kind of response that you want. Is your reason why big enough to inconvenience you to succeed? All fast trackers, please check your numbers every single week. Are your numbers consistent? Is that consistency something that you like or something that you don't like? Do you see lots of zeros and you want to make a change? Or are you seeing the kinds of numbers that you that are positive growth and you want to keep doing that? Are your numbers in alignment with the goals that you set for yourself? Where can you personally improve? Check the quality of the contacts that you're making every day. Are they all just, cultivating contacts, or are you moving them along the evaluation process? Are you on your way? Are you asking for the appointment? Are you asking for the sale? Are you asking to see the plan? Have you followed up with these potential sales and partners? Are you making good one-on-one contacts, or are you mass emailing, or just, making a Facebook status update and thinking that that is a quality contact? Check the quality of the work that you're doing. Check your emotions. Are you afraid to fail? Are you afraid to succeed? Are you afraid to confirm appointments? Are you afraid of rejection? Are you afraid that you might get rescheduled on? Who cares, right? If somebody says no. I loved this. This quote was from the last fast track, and I wanted to put it here because it was so powerful. The eyes of others are our prisons, and their thoughts are our cages. Virginia Woolf. This is so so true. We have to get out of this feeling that other people are gonna judge us. I don't care if people have something to say about me. I'm very happy in my life. I'm very, you know what I mean. So if people don't like, they don't like what I've said or what I do or whatever, that's fine. They can be happy doing their thing. That's all good. We're all here to help people, whether it, like Jocelyn said, maybe not, the business might not be for them, but maybe a website solution could be for them. Maybe it's a health product. Maybe it's someone that they know that needs this, right? If we look at it like that, then I think that our emotions will balance themselves out. Commit to the small steps. Stop focusing so hard on the result and just focus on the small steps every day, right? When you have a website appointment, don't stop working. Don't throw all your eggs in one basket. Keep the daily cycle growing for healthy and consistent growth. Don't talk to one person five times in a single week and then count that as your prospecting for the week. That is not helpful for your actual growth. Now, listen, if you talk to one person 5 times in a week, you should record it, but don't discount the fact that you need to be talking to different people as well, right? Don't do this to yourself where you're only working with small people, numbers of people, so that you constantly are having to start over, and over, and over again. Remember, cumulative action equals confidence, confidence equals consistency, and consistency equals success. Leverage social media, increase your productivity and your possibilities. For websites, find your favorite places to do business with them and fan or follow them. Do they have a site that to support their social media efforts? Engage the prospects in a conversation. Let people know what you do. Great sources for referrals here. Businesses, cultivate 2 new possibilities a day. Ask for referrals. A lot of referrals are coming your way this week. So if you haven't heard the consistent theme tonight, referrals are king. You wanna maybe give that a chance. Try to implement that for the next couple of weeks, right? Listen for people who complain and offer a solution. Overall, just don't make the mistake of not assessing yourself, right? Get real, you guys. I'm telling you, the biggest mistake that we can make is to hide behind, a comfortable, situation. Check your commitment. Follow up with your possibilities. Commit to daily steps. Try new ideas for prospecting. Try Jocelyn's idea for referral marketing. Treat the second half of the fast track the way you wanted to treat the first half, and even better than that. It's not about perfection; it's about progress, right? So get to work, you guys, and we will see you next time.